Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Document Don't Create, the show where I am just journaling my progress in building this business and just kind of flushing out the 80/20 spirituality and just kind of all the other fun stuff. So yesterday, I was talking a little bit about working on my Epiphany Bridge story, which for those of you who don't know, is this concept where Russell Brunson, who's this really solid internet marketing dude, talks about like what was the epiphany that you had that kind of set you on this path, because oftentimes a lot of people that are in the same situation can benefit from having that similar epiphany. And so for me, my epiphany was trying our little fungal friends for the first time and realizing like, oh, there's a lot more to this area than I think anyone is really giving credit for it. You know, I think it was often seen as like a hippie movement type of thing. Dare didn't do the best when it came to like teaching about them, I would say. I mean, I would, for just about everyone I've talked to that has been through the Dare program, has been like, I think it encouraged me to do drugs more than not to, funny enough, right? So obviously this isn't an encouragement video to try any of this stuff, excuse me, but I do want to say that that was a big part of my epiphany, and it lent me clarity on things that I don't think I would have been able to get clarity on regardless. And I will probably have a whole video talking about that here soon. But on the self-commitment of recording a video every day, even if it is just a small status update like this, I've noticed that a lot of this progress is small. It is kind of in that day-to-day hustle, right? So what I discovered today in the model of the 80/20, especially with things like prayer and meditation, there's a question I've had for a long time, which is like, why does prayer work? And you can say, well, you're talking to God, duh, right? But let's strip God out of the equation for a second. What do we have left? And like, can it still work even without that? And in my own personal experience, yes, it can. But there is a benefit to praying to something. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Christian God. It doesn't have to be a different God, right? There's a bazillion different gods all throughout history. And every believer in whatever religion has similar experiences, whether or not you want to believe that. It is true. If you look up, like, oh my gosh, she told me to do this amazing thing, right? Or revealed this thing or caused a miracle or, you know, something like that. We can look at the Greco-Roman gods, and you can see a lot of similar accounts as you would perhaps like the Christian gods. So point being, there is something that is there that has an effect on us that may not inherently be tied to God, but probably has something to do, there's probably something in that connection, right? So something that I've decided to start doing is testing out this like 80/20 principle more openly with people. So when they are talking and just kind of like talking to people in general, so I'll ask them, what is your most impactful spiritual practice, right? And so today someone gave me prayer, and I was like, well, what about prayer is it that is so impactful for you? Like, what does it do for you that you feel like is really benefiting you? And they had a very great way of wording it. I'm not gonna be able to pull up the Instagram post right now because I'm recording, obviously. But they said something along the lines of, when I'm praying, I feel like I'm able to be very honest with God and like show honest gratitude and honestly plead with him for the things that I honestly want. And in that type of exchange, it feels like I can actually do that. And so, you know, it provides a lot of clarity in that way. It provides very deep gratitude. It provides a very deep element of like, this is what I actually truly want. Because oftentimes, like 9 times out of 10, I feel like, we're not really that honest with ourselves. Like there is a element of us that really wants something, right? And then there's an element of us that is like, I can't want that for this reason or that, right? And a lot of therapies and, you know, everything else in that like self-development space, a lot of it does have to do with this idea of like, well, what kind of system can I use, something like that, to overcome that mental hurdle and then to just do what I want to do, right? And so in an interesting way, belief can offer a similar avenue towards that. And it's interesting because it's like, okay, so can we use that outside of religion? And that's actually partly why I think our fungal friends are so impactful, if anyone has experienced that that's watching this video, is because it offers a very deep and honest look at self. And as a result, we're then able to make more accurate decisions in our life. Like, I actually want to do that. I actually don't want to do that, et cetera, right? And so what can we pull from here? Well, first and foremost, with prayer, it has a very similar effect that meditation does, in the sense of you're still in both of those. You're sitting, you're either kneeling, right? And you can kneel for, I've prayed upwards of 20, 30 minutes, depending on the day, in my past, working on doing that again now. But that honest sincerity, that like deep pleading with God, I think that is a huge element in all of this, right? So sorry, I kind of jumping around a little bit. So first and foremost, the stillness. That is a very important thing. Things start to bubble up when you're still. But the interesting thing with prayer is that those things that bubble up are then channeled somewhere. With meditation, it can be, at least to my current understanding, it bubbles up. And then a lot of times people are like, I don't want to think about this. You know, maybe you're angry when you meditate, or maybe you're sad or anxious, or it doesn't really matter, right? Whatever emotion comes up, you're like, oh wait, the whole goal of this is just not to think about anything, right? And then you get frustrated and, you know, it goes down that whole cycle. Whereas with prayer, you know, you're like, I'm feeling angry. Let me ask the Lord to help me with my anger. And like, I'm genuinely like, oh, this dude pissed me off, right? And please, Lord, like, take this anger away from my heart. Like, he did this to me, but I want to try and forgive him. Like that right there, right? That little segment, that exchange, that's the thing that I think is actually really interesting here. So can we get that with meditation? Kind of, right? Because if the anger bubbles up, there's part of us, the ego, that's like, I don't want to feel that way. Like, and sure, I don't like this guy, like he made me mad, but like, you know, I'm zen, right? I can just let that float away or something like that, right? I think instead of fully accepting it, at least what's typical, and at least where that's my current level of meditation understanding is. So what can we graft from this? Do you pray to a God when you meditate? Not too sure, you know, but some form of prayer or ritual could be potentially very helpful. And it's interesting to kind of mess around with, right? Even if you don't believe in God in the Christian sense, is there something that you can pray to, that you can lay all of your feelings out to, and then just go through them, right? It seems to be much easier for us as humans to navigate that type of stuff when we're talking to someone, especially someone that we feel like has higher authority, that loves us, and will genuinely take care of us and help us overcome these issues. So I don't know, something kind of interesting today. As far as like business growth and things like that go, this tidbit was helpful as I'm working on mentally, and then as I'm gonna type out stuff more, working on a course to like implement all these practices together into like a concise area, along with some evidence and how they work and things like that. But that is like a cool, interesting tidbit that I feel like can be helpful. So anyway, my goal for today, I guess then, is to work on that Epiphany Bridge story more. My morning got taken up with some meetings, and then I'm about to head into some more work. So I'm gonna try and get that work done quickly, and then head to a dinner. And then after that dinner, it'll probably be like 8:30, 9-ish. Should be enough time for me to work on that Epiphany Bridge stuff a little bit. So that's the goal. And yeah, anyway, hope you have a good rest of your day. Hope you guys kick ass today. Talk to you later. Bye.